Good morning, I'm WaywornWyrm, and welcome to my channel. And welcome to this Friday video. It might be a little odd, but bear with me, if you would. So, it's Friday evening right now, and I've been putting this video off at least all day, if not the last day or two, because I generally start at least thinking about, if not recording my Friday shows, on Thursday. And obviously, as I'm saying, it's Friday evening, I haven't done that. And a big part of that reason is I'm still feeling malaise after my computer issues. And I still haven't given up hope that it will get fixed, but I'm not working toward that really hard right now. Probably because I have this idea of what I'm going to find when I do push down hard that way. And I'd almost rather live in limbo and start moving on, assuming I'm right, without knowing I'm right. But the problem with that is I've got to rebuild a lot of series. And that's hard. There's a couple series I can't. I lost too much of, and they can't continue in the form that they were. Most can. I went to sit down and remake my characters from Horde of the Dragon Queen, and realized I forgot a lot of basic things about them. It took me a while to remember their names, and I don't think I've remembered fully each of their names, for example. I don't remember a lot of their bonds and flaws. Well, no, I remember all of their bonds, because all of their bonds are somehow related to Heart of the Dragon Queen. I don't remember all their flaws. I don't remember all their backgrounds. For my spellcasting characters, I don't remember all of their spells. And sure, those are all things that I can go over. I can go back, I can listen to my first video, and that should tell me all of their names. I can piece together enough of their stuff so I will have characters that exist almost exactly the same. That is for Horde of the Dragon Queen. For Zweihander, I'm going to have to start that from scratch. The one that I have an easiest time of reconstructing is actually the Stolen Land. But that happened right as that was transitioning into part 2. And I'm not really sure how to write, at least how part 2 starts out. Episode 9 is a very, very hard episode to write. I can put back together the Pugilist. He's not going to be the same, but he'll be similar. Yeah, so he'll be a thing that exists. But it's not quite going to be the same. I realized the other day that I misplaced a lot of things that I'd written. That story takes place in a world that I've been creating since 2012. And that could all be gone now. It's quite a lot that I've written down over 6 years. story. That's also part of the reason why it starts in 2010, is I wanted it to start near the present when I first created the world. And I created a lot of story beats to happen that really shape where the story goes 6 years ago. That story is, if you've watched the 2 episodes of newspapers, the Freedom Ledger and the Daily Herald, that I did before I realized that's way too much work for a bi-weekly series, you'll notice that it has some real-world political beats to it, and I mean that's heading towards. Well, I mean, let's be honest. 2012. Well, 2010 through 2012, which is the arc that we're inside of right now, was a pretty politically weird time. And that's going to be brought in. Just, it is. But I've had just kind of a bunch of malaise about that. And I've been holding the channel at arm's length because of it. And the channel is suffering because of that attitude. And as much as I know that, and as much as I know that the more and longer I hold it at arm's length, the more it's going to suffer. The suffering reinforces keeping it at arm's length. And I really haven't felt a bright spot that hasn't been very quickly coupled with something that's dimmed that in quite a while here, until actually a few minutes ago. And that's what I really want to talk about. I don't want to talk about all of the issues and problems, but to understand where I'm at this moment, I had to spend those last 7.5 minutes, almost 8 minutes, letting you guys know what my feelings have been, and also help explain why it's been the way it is. I've created a new schedule, and one of the stories in that new schedule is a brand new story. It's one that has been kicking around in the back of my mind for a while, but I hadn't created characters for it. So that's what I decided to do not too long ago. So I'm making these characters. I'm starting off with one easy character. It's set in the modern day. It's a fantasy story. And I kind of feel like I'm going through the motions as I'm creating this character. He's not really clicking for me. I'm not sure about this story. My doubts that I've just talked about are bubbling up. And I've got another video on in the background that I'm listening to as I'm creating this. And I make some choices about him here and there that are all kind of disperse, and they're not really working to create a good, solid, cohesive character. But I create the character sheet. I create the physical stuff, the game mechanics, and then I go on to the Seventh Sanctum, and I go to their quick name generator, which uses, let's see, general purpose names that are created. It's essentially just, it uses names from the US Census database to generate names for you. I don't know if all these people are actual people or if it's just like, oh, these are the names that are likely, here are the probabilities, and, first, middle, last, although a lot of times it's just first and last. It's not. Anyway, great thing. And generates 50 male names. And I find one that I like. Milton Marsh. And you're going to see him soon. And you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is that character. So Milton Marsh, as I imagine him, is in his early 20s. And his main allegiance is to his family. And that's as far as I've gotten. It's D20 modern, so he's got a wealth bonus, or he has a wealth stat, and his wealth stat says he's at the top of the struggling. And then it comes time for me to buy equipment for him. And I do, and I stretch with a few, and he is now he's now like solidly struggling to the point where I would love to give him a lot more stuff. I don't want to try because his stat is way too low. And that's awesome, and that's probably exactly what the stat was always intended for. I've never liked that stat. I've never liked how D20 handles wealth. But it really worked right here, right now. And as I'm doing that, and as I'm looking at him and going over the stats to, the skill list in the book to make sure I understand it, I'm starting to get pieces of him here and there. And then all of a sudden, he just sort of jumps out, almost fully formed. He's this rural guy who probably goes by his middle name because he hates being named Milton. Not only does he hate Milton, but he hates how the kids treat him. How all of his peers have treated him throughout school. Because he's the guy from the sticks named Milton Marsh. And I'm sure that you can think of all of the names that the bullies called him. And he has a Beretta, a little Beretta pistol, and a club. Those are his weapons, and his armor is a leather jacket. And I imagine him as this rural kid who's grown up in a small town, but the campaign takes place in a city. I haven't decided what city yet, but some city in America. And so obviously he's moved. He's recently moved to the city, and he's struggling. He's not doing well wealth-wise. So imagine he lives in a small apartment and gets odd jobs, and these odd jobs pay slightly more than what's required for him to keep going by. He's, you know, he's one strained back away from essentially being homeless. And I just got really excited because I can see him, I can feel him. He's a formed thing. And it's wonderful. And it's given me some excitement that I haven't felt in a while. And it's just because he clicked. There were a couple of decisions I made here and there that were not affected by anything else, and they didn't affect each other. They were just made because I thought they were interesting. Like, for example, I wanted him to have a feat, and I looked through a couple of the starting occupations to figure out, okay, well, what feat, or, what occupations give him this feat, so I don't have to spend one of the 2 starting feats that he gets on getting this feat. And the one that I found most interesting was rural. So that's why I decided he's a rural character. And just things like that. And he just, all of a sudden, out of the blue, he appeared, and I'm like, oh, I put some of his stats, I put some of his skill ranks wrong. I've got to move those around. And yeah, like, he's not super well built for the campaign that he's about to take place in, but that's part of the story. The story is there's going to be a small group of people who start off as just normal folk. They're not the heroes they'll become. And so because of that, I don't want them to be particularly suited for what's going to happen to them at the start. And he very much is not. But yeah. So that's kind of where I am right now. I've got a Sunday video all written and ready to record that I'll be putting up on Sunday. I've got my Monday live stream, and by Tuesday, I should be getting back into the swing of things. Wednesday, you're going to see another chapter of Sherlock Holmes. It's going to be a week from this coming Wednesday when I get back to the Monster Manual backward. I haven't forgotten about it. It's ready to go. But right now, that's a little lower on my priority list. One of the things that's very high on my priority list, and something that I'm definitely going to be reminding you guys of every video between now and then, is remember, a week from this coming Sunday, so Sunday, April 8th, 2018, I'm starting a live stream. It is going to be on Twitch, and I will stream it on Twitch, and then I'll put it on here probably the following Monday, where me, my wife, and 2 friends are going to be playing The Curse of Strahd on Roll20. And it's going to start at 6:30 Pacific Daylight Time in the evening. And it's going to run until about 9. On the 8th, we're going to go through character creation. So I hope everyone can come see that. And the update about that is, as I just mentioned, it will be on Twitch, and it will only be on Twitch live streaming, because when I went to do the test to see if I could live stream on both, before I had even started the stream, I knew it had failed. I'm running OBS, which is open source broadcasting or something. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's a live streaming program, and I had 2 instances of it running, which I could do. However, they were competing with each other. On one of them, I was able to get a screen share, which will be absolutely key to this live stream. Unlike most of my YouTube videos, this will be required watching. And I was able to get my microphone input, which is great. But I wasn't able to get the audio output, which is what my computer is playing. Which, that's all the second instance was picking up. The second instance was only picking up the audio output, which is what everyone else, what they're speaking, would be piped through. So what I could give you is, on one side you could hear me and just me and see my screen, and on the other channel you'd have to listen to that to get what everyone else is saying. And no, that's not going to happen. So it is going to be it's going to be Twitch only for the broadcast, and then later it will be put up on my channel. But I would very much appreciate it, you wonderful viewer who has sat here for almost 23 minutes listening to me ramble. I'd very much appreciate it if you could go over to my Twitch, which will be in the description down below. Follow me there, and on Sunday, April 8th, assuming you have nothing else to do, I would very much appreciate it if you watched my video. So thank you, everyone. I will see you Sunday. Remember to tune in on Sunday for the next video that's going up. And then tune in Monday for the live stream. And then make sure to tune in next Sunday, a week from this coming, in the evening, at least my evening, to watch my live stream. Thank you.